When you tune in to Promise Christian Live each week, what do you expect? I trust your expectations are met. And today, may that also be the case as Dr. Mike McKinney, the president of Promise Christian University, talks with another very special guest. Mike, it's been a whole week. Don't keep us waiting. Who's your guest?
Well, I'm very happy today to be on the program Promise Christian Live. Whether we have a wonderful guest, Dudley. It's the former mayor of Covina, David Truax.
Hello, Mike.
Brother David, it's good to have you aboard.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Today on our telecast. I've been wanting to have you on for quite some time.
Thank you.
And we'd like to have the viewing audience today hear a little bit about your story. You're a man that wears many hats.
That's right. That's right.
And you were. How did you become first of all? How did you become the mayor of Covina?
Well, we went through a difficult time in Covina. It's been 20 years ago now.
Yes.
The problem started roughly 1993. When our city, the first in the nation, I'm told, that was the first to throw out all 5 city council members.
Wow.
In a special recall election. And as you can imagine, for a city to get to that point, it had to be very tumultuous, very difficult time.
Yes, yes.
It was an embarrassing time to go to city council meetings. If you went as just an observer and you sat in the audience, you would often see council members arguing and fighting with each other, people in the audience out of control, and even every now and then a council member wagging their finger or pounding the podium and shouting down someone who had come to do their public speaking, which is their First Amendment right. Very embarrassing time in Covina, very difficult. We had some serious issues, such as whether or not we were going to get rid of our city fire department and go to the county, and all kinds of major issues like that. What was the straw that broke the camel's back was we were the latest city to adopt a utility users tax. And although the county had one and many other cities had one to help balance their budgets, we did not at the time. But in 1993, our council voted it in, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back of an already upset electorate. And these 5 were voted out. One actually resigned, and the other 4 were voted out. So I had been a casual observer. As a chaplain, I had been invited into the meetings from time to time to give invocation or to play some official part as a chaplain. So I got a chance to really observe the meetings, and I knew in my heart that the sort of problems we were having was just the thing that I could put my 2 cents in and probably help.
Yes.
Disorder. I know how to bring order. Division. I know how to bring reconciliation because of what I've learned in the Bible and because of what I've practiced in church.
That's wonderful.
And so I prayed about it. I talked to my wife, and she was very positive about it, which is very important to me.
Oh yeah.
If Mary, if I lay an idea before Mary and she's not quite sure of it, then I know I've either got to do a lot of work to convince her, or maybe it's really not the right thing.
She's a wonderful lady too.
She's very wonderful person to bounce things off of.
Yes,
but she was very open to the idea and encouraged me, and so I began to ask questions. I sought out opinions of sitting council members, of former council members that I knew. What does it involve? I asked about the time constraints. I asked about how's it going to affect my life? And once I had a sense of the time that I would have to put in, and I looked at my own time and the business and the family and the things that I needed to stay on top of, I thought to myself that this could really work. I could plug this into my schedule, and so I committed it to prayer, and put together a small election team of about 6 people, and ended up being the top vote getter that
was wonderful. I remember that particular election, and you were the newest council member, and within a very short period of time you became mayor pro tem. I remember that.
Right.
That was really the hand of the Lord. And also for our audience to know that David is a marvelous Christian man. He's also a minister of the gospel, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But it just seems like the Lord directed you to do something for the city of Covina. You'd been there as you're a business owner, whether you have a company within the city, you're a police chaplain, a chief of chaplains now for the city, I understand. But you had this heart to do even more than that. And I think the Lord really put that on your heart to become involved.
Right. Yeah, I agree. You have to be ready. My philosophy is, and it comes a little bit from the Boy Scouts. My boys have gone through Boy Scouts, and the motto they teach the boys that I've learned from just watching is be prepared. So you're always kind of in this attitude of preparation. The Word tells us to always be in an attitude of prayer. I think it's the same thing.
Yes.
And just ready to hear from God, to be plugged into whatever the next step is. If you had asked me even 6 months before I ran, if I were interested in politics, I would have said no. I'm quite content with my job, with my family, with driving my kids around to sports and all the activities they have with
regular
being a police
dad, regular
exactly,
guy,
exactly. Quite content, and yet there in just a matter of a few weeks, I went from that just a casual attitude of being just a regular old citizen like everyone else to someone who really felt like I could take charge and put my leadership skills to work.
That's wonderful. And how long did you serve on the council before you became the mayor of Covina?
Well, in the city of Covina, each council term is 4 years long.
I see.
Unless you get recalled.
I see.
As a general rule, 4 years long, and I think it's the same in most cities. In Covina at the time, once the 5 council members are seated, and we have an alternating election where every 2 years there's an election.
I see.
In one election, 2 of the 5 are elected. 2 years later, the other 3 of the 5 are elected. That way, there's at least 2 years of experience. Even if the entire newly elected council are brand new council members, at least there's a couple of years of experience in the council at any time. I think it's a good policy. At the time, once the 5 are seated, then those 5 council members vote on who is to be the mayor pro tem and the mayor for, at the time, a 2-year period.
I see.
And you talk about being the new kid on the block, never having run. This was the first election I'd run in. Top vote getter.
Yes.
And I got the nod from two of the other 2 council members.
Yes.
So with my vote, it was 3. I'm a small majority to become mayor pro tem right from the start.
Right from the very beginning.
So the first 2 years on the city council, I served as mayor pro tem. Now, mayor pro tem, some cities call it vice mayor. It really is a title only. I'm no different in terms of responsibility or input than a city council member.
I see.
But if the mayor is out of town, if the mayor can't get to an emergency or an urgent matter is delayed, then the mayor pro tem steps in temporarily and serves as mayor. That's the reason for the position.
That's wonderful.
And I really only served as a stand-in mayor once. So when our mayor at the time took a vacation to Germany.
Oh, yes.
So for the couple of weeks that he was gone, I stood in as mayor. Then at the end of my 2-year term as mayor pro tem, the city council gave me the nod for mayor.
I must say, I've heard you were one of the best mayors as Covina's had. And we're also live in Covina, and I'm very happy to have been under your leadership because it's really marvelous, David, things that you're doing. And I see you're wearing your beautiful policeman's uniform. Could you tell our viewing audience today that we know that the city of Covina has a wonderful chaplains program within the police department? Could you allude a little bit to the audience today?
The police chaplain program in Covina, like many cities, I suppose, and even the County of Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, many fire departments have chaplains programs, and they're very similar in the way they're run. But in Covina, the chaplains are pastors or ministers of local churches.
I see.
That have a heart for this unique kind of ministry.
Yes.
And really it's a ministry not only to police officers, deputy sheriffs, if you happen to be a sheriff's chaplain, but we find at Covina primarily a ministry to the people that they serve.
Yes.
We come ancillary to what they do. For example, if you have a major crime scene, and someone dies. That's normally the kinds of call out we get called out when someone has passed away.
Oh, I see.
Whether it's of natural causes, and often if it's an unexpected emergency where
Right.
someone has
You're
unexpectedly
right there
died.
on scene
Right.
to assist the officers. In,
Right, exactly, because we want the officers, especially if there's suspicious circumstances, or at least to get us to the point where we're sure there's not suspicious circumstances. We want the officers to put their talents to work, which are primarily crime scene investigation. And so in order for them to do that and to be unfettered with a family that is at times hysterical,
absolutely,
and almost always has many questions about why these things sometimes take so long,
tragedy and all. Yeah.
We're able to be called in while family is on their way. Family sometimes lives out of state, or maybe an hour, even only an hour and a half away or so. But we're able as chaplains to step in immediately, and within 10 to 15 minutes, respond to the scene, sit with the family. Very often they want us to pray with them.
Yes,
there's a very calming and quieting atmosphere that comes when you pray.
Right.
The Holy Spirit is called the Comforter.
That's right.
And so that's what we do is we turn it into a spiritual experience and allow God to minister to these people, many times unbelievers.
Oh, yes.
But, we're all unbelievers.
That's right.
Every one of us is an unbeliever until we receive the Lord.
I think it's marvelous how you're right on the scene there to be the presence of God and bring the presence of God into that marvelous situation. I also understand, David, that you're also a business owner in the community. Could you tell our audience today what type of business that you have?
Sure. I started out in the United States Navy. That was my first real job right out of high school. In fact, I was 17 at the time. My parents had to sign to give me permission to join. But right out of high school, and I went in as an electrician. Spent my 6 years. When I got out, I stayed in the electrical industry working for a contractor.
Excellent.
And that evolved into doing electrical engineering, drawing the blueprints for this contractor, which further evolved into opening my own business. And so I still, this was 1983, as I recall, so here we are.
And you're a graduate of Cal Poly, too.
I do have a degree from Cal Poly Pomona, that's right.
Excellent.
And my business is electrical engineering. Now I draw plans for other contractors.
I think it's wonderful that you're right in the city doing such a work. And also, I want our people watching today to know that you're also a minister of the gospel. And could you tell us how long have you been serving as a minister of the gospel?
Well, my parents have been dragging me to church since I was, they were able to carry me in their arms.
Yes.
We grew up in church. But at some point, and as I recall, I was 14 years old, I realized that God doesn't have any grandchildren.
That's right.
That it's not because of mom and dad that I'm saved.
That's right.
And those 14 years that I went to church really didn't count, except that they were foundational and
of course.
And by that the teaching I got from my Sunday school teachers, my pastor, and of course my parents showing me by example. I realized at age 14 in high school that I needed to make a personal commitment.
That's right.
And that's what I did. So I received the Lord at that time, and that's almost 40 years ago now.
That's wonderful.
And began almost immediately involving myself in a variety of ministries.
Oh yes.
There are plenty of ministries you can be involved in even as a high school student.
That's very true.
And so I found places where I could plug myself in, and eventually it became as I read the Bible and learned on my own and practiced on my own, I found myself being able to pray for people and watch them be healed.
That's beautiful.
My own family, I have 3 children. My wife was brought up in the Catholic background, with a Catholic background, so respect for God, respect for Christ.
Oh, absolutely.
But a very different way of worshiping. But it's been fun just to discuss with her over the years and back and forth about. Always, I think what it's done is driven us both to the Word.
That's
to find
wonderful.
out, what I practiced here growing up, what she practiced here growing up.
Oh, yes.
That's fine, but what does the Word say?
What does the Word
about
say?
What
we go back to square one.
Exactly,
what does the Word say?
Exactly, and it's driven us to the Word, and I've spent many times in her church. We were married in the Catholic Church. She attends, we now attend our church here in Covina, West
Yes.
Covina,
Yes.
together, and the 3 kids, of course.
And she's very supportive of your ministry. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah. Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
of course. It would make it very difficult if she weren't in support.
That's very, very true. Well, David, what's so wonderful is that here God brought you. You're doing so. You have an electrical engineering company. You're a business owner. You're the former mayor of Covina. You've done so many things. I think it's wonderful because in those capacities, although you're very pluralistic, of course, when you were in public office, as we need to be, but you still had the presence of God with you, even in those chambers, in those meetings. I know you prayed before you had a council meeting, asked
Right.
for wisdom and guidance, and I think that's so very, very wonderful today.
Right.
And
You may remember, I was elected in March of 1999.
yes.
And that was the year that we were facing Y2K.
Oh, I remember that.
That's, everybody
yeah.
thought, well, not everybody, but a lot of people thought, no, is the world going to end?
Yeah, right.
At very minimum, our computers are going to stop working. I mean, you remember those days.
Of course,
it was a little chaotic. And stepping into that role in 1999, when really no one, even the experts, were sure what was going to happen on New Year's Day 2000, put a little extra pressure on us as council members to keep the community at ease, to make sure that our staff was looking into every eventuality and was prepared for whatever might happen.
Yes.
But I say that to say that one of the first things I did in the 2000 was to invite a handful of local pastors that I'd been fellowshipping with.
Yes.
I had gone to one of my pastors as soon as I was elected, and I asked if she would head up an intercessory team for the mayor and city council.
Yes, I remember that.
But then the next thing we did was on New Year's Day, just the 6 or 7 of us who could make it on New Year's morning. I brought them to city council chambers, and we prayed. We prayed for Covina and for what God might have in store for her. Again, this was a city that had recalled her council members just six years earlier.
Yes.
And we were still fighting and bickering and things like that. And so we needed God's help.
Yes.
We obviously could not do it under human power.
That's
and
right.
So I brought 6, 7 pastors together, and we just prayed and we just asked God to bless our city.
And he did.
And he did.
Divine intervention.
Oh, he did. Oh, just, I mean, we could spend hours that we don't have today telling you all the little nuances, all the little miracles that happened along the way.
Isn't that marvelous?
It was a real blessing.
Really. I think it's wonderful. I understand, too, Brother David, that you had a run for the U.S. Congress recently, too.
Well, I ran last year. Yeah,
yes.
I did. I, again, feeling that I felt a little let down by our current Congress at the time.
Yes.
And I look at some of the organizations that are out there now screaming about Congress, and I realize I think I was a year or 2 early.
Yeah, right.
Because what I was feeling a year ago, I see a lot on television now. But at any rate, I don't say that to belittle Congress by any means. I'm a patriot.
Oh, yes.
And I believe that you fight hard to get who you want elected.
That's right.
And if your candidate doesn't win, I'm the kind of guy that I fall in line behind whoever won for the good of America.
That's wonderful.
That's why I support my president. That's why I support Congress. But I tell you what, around election time, I believe the Bible gives us license in a democracy like we have in this republic, because of the way it's set up, where the power is put in the hands of the voter. I believe that the Bible actually encourages us to become part of the system and be voters.
I agree
and
with
advocates and stand up for what we believe in and those kinds of things. And so, as an extension of that, I threw my hat in the ring last year and ran for U.S. Congress.
And you did very well for the new guy.
Not too bad.
You did very well.
Not too bad.
And I'm hoping and praying that, and Adele and I are praying that you'll run again.
Well, we'll see.
We love you, and we believe so much in your work and your heart and your philosophy and your faith in the Lord. It's just, you make a wonderful congressman.
Well, thank you.
I really believe that. I would also like to mention that because of the current earthquake in Haiti, getting back to the city of Covina for a moment, and we had a guest in here the other day from Gleanings for the Hungry who had an involvement with sending foods and supplies to Haiti, that the city of Covina has a sister city in Haiti. Could you tell us about that today?
Last month, our mayor had somehow struck up a friendship with a man who was in Haiti the day of the earthquake in January. And the man was visiting, because he's from the area. He's from Southern California, the Redlands area, as I recall, but happened to be in Haiti. He's a pastor and was ministering there, and actually got stuck. The earthquake was so severe he couldn't get out.
Wow.
So through friends in, I think you've heard of Mission Aviation Fellowship.
Oh, I certainly have.
They've been around for many, many years.
Many years, yes.
They were able to fly him out and get him out of the country and back home. And he has made a mission of traveling around to cities in the area, asking if they would be interested in partnering with La Vallée du Jacmel.
Beautiful.
My apologies if I've mispronounced it. That's as good as my French gets right now. And Covina was the first to step up to the plate and say, sure, we'll do whatever we can. We're like other American cities, struggling to with a budget that doesn't quite make ends meet. Not sure what we can commit to this group of dear people. There are about 50,000 people, I believe, in this little township.
Oh, yes.
It's dozens of miles from the epicenter, but it still was damaged.
Of course.
In the earthquake. And so we're trying to see what we can do as a city to help. And it may be something as simple as our children writing letters of encouragement to their school children.
Sure.
Letting them know we haven't forgotten them, because honestly, Haiti's not in the news anymore.
That's right.
So as far as most Americans are concerned, everything's back to normal. That's not the truth.
No.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
Still a lot of room for repairing the buildings.
There are people that there are thousands still homeless. There are children that cannot go to school because their school buildings are not inhabitable.
Right.
The folks are living in tents that have tents. There's a call right now for 3,900 tents.
Imagine that.
Just for this little township. And so we're considering maybe having a tent drive and have people donate tents, find a way to ship them over there.
Wow.
And the other thing too is that Haiti is right now in the beginning of the hurricane season.
Oh, that's right.
So these people are going to be exposed to the elements. Some of them severe elements.
Yes.
And we're trying to do what our little city can do. I'm glad to hear that Pasadena, where we're filming today, is also been approached, and Mayor Bill Bogart has shown great interest in also maybe finding a way to partner. And, so maybe with a handful of cities from this area, we can help out this little township.
Yes, he's a great mayor and a great man.
Yes, he is.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that today too. And it's just marvelous. And in closing our program today, what would you say to the Christians out there who are believers who might be considering possibly a career in the political realm? What would you say to them today?
Well, from my experience, is the most important thing is to get involved now. And it doesn't matter what you get involved in. Go and sit and read books to kids at the library.
Right.
Ask to be on a commission, volunteer to be on a commission, whether it's a planning commission or an arts commission, or just sit in the audience. Just attend a city council meeting. Attend your city council meetings to look at the agenda and see how the meetings go. Excuse me. You'll begin to meet people.
That's right.
They'll begin to know your name, and especially if you're a Christian, the Bible promises they'll know us by our love.
That's right.
And so people will begin to see that you're sincere, that you're honest, that you're not in this for your own goals and motivations
or something.
Right, to set yourself on a pedestal, but you honestly and sincerely want to help. And before too much time goes by, you'll actually be handpicked and asked, would you be interested in serving here? Would you be interested in helping there? And
God will begin open doors.
Right, and I got to tell you, when I started several years ago, I didn't lay out a strategy. I didn't have a goal that I wanted to be a city council member or this or that. I just took it a day at a time, and as a new opportunity opened up, an opportunity where I felt I could help and use my talents and strengths in that opportunity, I would volunteer for that. And it didn't matter. I was the guy who used to scrub restrooms.
Yes.
At church.
You did everything.
That was fine with me.
We were glad to do it.
At the time.
Well, I want to thank you, David, for being our guest today.
Delighted
Mayor
to be here.
Dave Truax, and we're hoping, praying you're going to run again and God will open the door for a higher office. You're a wonderful man, and we really appreciate you. And we're so glad today to present guests like Mayor David Truax. They're wonderful friends of Promise Christian University, and I'd like to mention to our audience that Brother David is also one of the board of directors on Promise Christian University's board, and we're delighted to have men of his caliber part of the university. And we want to encourage you, if you're looking for a good Christian school, we'd like you to think about Promise Christian University, and I'm sure we can help you with our in-house classes. We have a new online program going from the bachelor's level to the doctoral level, and graduation pretty soon in August. We're going to be having another graduation. So we wanted to encourage all of our viewing audience today to think about Promise Christian University as your school of choice. And we're delighted to have this wonderful telecast in the city of Pasadena, originating from Pasadena. And we want to thank all of you for viewing this program today and our special guest, David Truax. Dudley, again, God's given us a wonderful program.
Well, thanks, Mike. I hated to see the program end today. You and your guest could have gone on another half hour. But folks, there will be another interesting program next week, so tune in. Until then, live life to the fullest. Be good to yourself. And as someone once told me, if you're good and true to yourself, you cannot be bad and false to anyone else. If you need some help in achieving this goal, call Promise Christian University. They're always ready to help. Their phone number is 626-296-7507. And their email address is PCULive@mypcu.com. if you wish to write. Now, this is Dudley Goff saying, God be with you throughout this week coming. He's your best friend, you know. Shalom.